Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
I'm Oliver. I'm the CEO at Tarsier Studios.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Joshka. I'm a technical director at Tarsier Studios.
Amazing. When I went to Gamescom, I did a top 20 games, and this was my number one. So how does someone make a story like this, and how do we get to this point of going from concept to here?
It's a very long journey, right? And there's a lot going into it. I think it also very much depends on the studio. Everybody does it a bit different. For us, we have a process that we call motifing, where we either start from a concept or we start from a piece of gameplay or even a piece of narrative. And then we implement that and we try to convey the idea behind it. So, right? And then you just put these together and look at the experience as a whole, and you try and figure out, does this work? Because especially for these kinds of games, it's very important that the pacing is right. With horror games, it's all about the build-up and building the tension. And so it's also very hard because of it, right? Yeah. Because you can't push everything to the point where you can see the atmosphere. You have all the sounds, you have all the things that make you actually scared at the end of when you're done with the product. So it's actually quite the struggle, to be honest.
This is now a therapy session. Is that because you're a technical director? What does that mean? So for anyone that doesn't know, not saying it's me, but what does a technical... That's horrendous, by the way. I wish you knew how horrifying that was. I just look, I hate it. So when it comes to pacing, when it comes to sound, what does your role do? And then what would your role do as well? I'll start with...
So we're not a studio with very strict role descriptions, right? So
we all muck in.
A little bit. It's a lot about collaboration, really. So there have been times where I helped a little bit with the design of the game as well. I was part of brainstorms about what puzzle could go here. And so it's a bit unique that way, I think. If you are looking at AAA studios, right? They have these role descriptions and if you're
stay in there,
director, that's what you do. And you stay in your laying alerts, right? For us, it's a little bit more dynamic. In the last 3 weeks, for example, I've been way more involved in the producer side of things and helping a lot on that. Okay, how can we now finish everything and make sure the last patch gets approved and stuff like that. So it depends a lot on the phase of the game as well, right? You have these different phases where you have pre-production, you have the concept phase before that, then you go into production, where then you have an alpha and a beta, and then you have the final game. I think most gamers are nowadays quite familiar with those terms, right? And I think through these different parts, it changes quite a bit. For my role in particular, pre-production is very important because that's when you really prove the tech. You make sure, can we build this game? You typically build vertical slice or something like that, where you kind of okay, here's all the features of the game, and you can make them. There's still you need to squint a little bit. It's not all there, of course. That's where you really try to set everything up so for success for the main production, we then build the content. And while we don't follow those typical concepts to the core, there's still a lot of that we do as well. And then you're in production, it's a little bit much more about putting everything together and making the experience. That's where collaboration becomes much. And then now at the end, it's all about wrapping the project and making it shippable.
And for you, what would your role be?
My role is, I guess, trying to help out with the stuff that's outside of actually creating the game. And, it sounds silly to say that the job the manager or lead in this industry is that there's a team that's going to at some point walk on the red carpet, and my job is to roll out that red carpet. So there's all roles have some traditional stuff, maybe policies that's needed sometimes to get us into the right. But I think what we want to create and what we have is a space where people can come and be creative, but be creating together. And to be creative together, you also need to have but this is where we're moving, and here are some outer boundaries, but within that, we have as much freedom as we can. So I think that's where maybe my role helps out.
I have a question. How important is it? Because I noticed that some people went to university to study game development. Mm-hmm. How important do you think it is for study to get there? But how supported is that by Sweden or in general? In the UK, they've kind of made a curriculum working on a module for a game development course. But do you think you need to have done game development to
I think,
to do this,
so,
or do you think you can?
so what I think is that you need to be passionate about something. To be good at something, you need to have some passion. For some, the best way has been, we have colleagues at Tarsier, and I've had colleagues before that their path was through school, that trained them, got them connections, opened up some things. They did a lot of things on their own at home. And then they found a studio that fitted what they wanted to do. And then there are other people that come from completely different backgrounds. That's the nice thing with this industry, is that there is no one way. There is a way that works for you. You're never going to know beforehand. In other jobs, I do this curriculum for 3 years. Then I have a job as a doctor, takes long. But then I am an engineer. In our industry, it's way more fluid, which is a bit harder than to navigate, but it's also more opportunities.
I agree.
So I think there's not one way. And then we have different schools in Sweden, and they have different focuses. A lot of them are pretty good.
So what would you say? I feel like you have a thought about this.
No, I do, because I actually didn't study game. I didn't study anything related to games. I'm actually a physicist. You need to be at the right place at the right time. But I completely agree with what Oliver said. It's so much about having passion for it. And if you show that and you come into a studio that sort of fits your passion as well, the door is open, so to say, right? Like, but it is the obvious way to get into the gaming industry through courses and studying those particular courses that train you in making games. But I think there's many other paths that can bring you there.
So the reason why I set my theory is because I think that people are assholes on the internet. I think they have no idea. I do. I feel like they have no idea about like what it takes to make a game or whatever. What is the 5 years spent on? And also, what do you wish people knew about making a game?
One thing that sums it up, it's a bit high level. I've had this discussion with many colleagues, both at Tarsier, and I've been in the industry for a while. When you get the question, how do you make a game? If someone says they have an answer, they haven't done enough.
No,
right? So it's like, do we have the right people, the right type of game? Can they work together? And then there is, of course, a lot of details. How do we do this process? And how do we build these tools? And how do we do the graphics here? And how do we do the sound? So all that craftsmanship that goes into it, right? It's so complex. And I've been working in the IT industry, which is also complex depending on what you do. But we have so many disciplines that it has to come together in shape or form. And then everything at the end is still subjectively, it's like, is this good enough? Most other industries here, this is the goalpost, and here's
and it's clear cut.
That makes our projects harder to plan. It's harder to keep deadlines, and because it's hard to say that 3 months from now this thing will feel amazing. You hope for it, I don't know, right?
That's true.
But then at the other side, I think there are, as a consumer, you also have a right to have an opinion. But it's just, like, if I buy something, I want to have something that you said it was this kind of game and I paid for it and I should have a good experience. Then will you have an experience that will have some flaws? There's no products in the world, no matter what, that can have flaws, right? But I think that people working in the industry, I don't know anyone who works, and I know people in mobile gaming and many different genres. Everybody wants to do a good job. So I don't know people that, I'm working on a game and I don't care about I think that's so we listen a lot to feedback, and we appreciate a lot of feedback. And also sometimes the harsh things, that someone expected something that they didn't get. And that's also interesting to hear. But there's some civility to it that makes you listen.
I agree.
And when you go uncivil, it's like, that's noise.
Yeah.
That's a shame, because there could be some really good stuff there, right?
I think people that care about something will always give constructive feedback, and people that just want to be loud would also be loud as well. But what do you think?
No, I agree with a lot of what Oliver said. I think it's a very scary process, right? You're working behind closed doors for a period of time. Sometimes that's longer, sometimes that's shorter, depending on the project. But you don't know. What will people say about this? There's that. But it's also do care, right? Because you do put a piece of your soul into it. As with any creative thing that you put out, it's scary to put it out there. And then if in return what you get is negativity,
I know, it's hard.
That's very exactly. But we've been lucky so far. There has also been a lot of positivity.
Because it is really good. It's just good. So first of all, there's a lot of crossover of films and games. And I think that there's a lot of similarity. And I saw BAFTA especially are leaning more into that. How important is that for you? And can you see the intersectionality?
A lot of crossover from
Yeah.
movie to games, especially I think the games we make. We talk
So
about
should we make a film as well?
No, I mean, the reason why we make games as well, right? Like the additional element to it that you get through, like how to interact with the medium. It's just different.
Yeah.
So for us, that's interesting than making a film or working that for sure. Like it's inspiration comes a lot from movies for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's all over the place. And I mean, I see the intersection. And
Yeah, I mean, in like a scary film. And then my last question: do you think I should play this with my ex to traumatize him?
the easy question is to, of course, play this
Traumatize
together.
him.
We'll traumatize him.
Yeah.
And then do it. We release on the 13th. So do it on the 14th, Valentine's Day.
I'm not
It's
wasting
perfect.
my Valentine's Day with him. Okay, but I'll do it on the 15th. So you know,
it's a go-to.
I think they want to pick me up. Thank you. Okay, let's say goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Thank you so
Nice
much
to
for your
meet you.
time.
Yeah.
Really nice to meet you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for trusting me.